Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach, and this is an important day. We're going to make it happen. We're going to cross this river. So I just wanted to take a look at what's happening in this river, because there's a lot of activity, and this is activity that we're going to need to think about as we're building along the river. So we set this up way back and we set this road up, Main Street, way back in episode 1 with the idea of pointing at exactly where we want to go across the river. And since then, we've had a lot of really exciting things happen. Not the grade, though. That's not exciting. What we have had happen, though, is we got a number of really cool bridge assets, something that I wasn't really thinking about when I decided to delay this, but I feel like it's really worked out in our favor. So I think we need to take the wins when we can get them. And this is a definite win. So what I'm going to do is just really gently move this up, and we're going to cross the river. I wanted to really increase the length of that span to ensure that it's as flat as possible. You can see that it would have been nice to do something with this key wall here. I might try to extend that over a bit. And that'll tell you what I have planned for today. I think I just made this worse. So maybe the key wall ending underneath the bridge is probably, that's probably as good as we're going to get it. That's not a bad look. So what we're going to do today is focus on building a trade school campus. So we've had, in the end of the last episode, it was pretty easy to see that we have an issue with our university right now. We have a ton of eligible students and not enough people to fill those, or not enough capacity for those students. We are also kind of teetering on our high school availability. We might try to find a place to add another high school. You can actually see that the Verde Beach Historic District would be an area that would be prime for a high school. One of the ways that we could add those in would be to start emptying some of our cemeteries. I know that this has been something that has been brought up on a number of occasions. I think I'm going to go through right now and get these all emptying. Okay, so we're going to reclaim that land, and that will be something that I think really is a good benefit to this city. So what we're going to do is plan our trade school campus to be on this peninsula right here, maybe utilizing some of this beachfront as well. So I do want to paint the campus area right up front. I think this is going to be a really unique campus, and the goal here will be to create a campus that focuses on creating people who are well educated in tourism, which makes a ton of sense if you think about the city itself. So we've got our campus area painted there, and there's one more thing I want to do before I forget, and that is actually focusing on one particular bus route that I forgot. So there was a recommendation to create a bus route to link the two campuses together. And I think that's a good point. There's either the bus, there's the subway, which is okay, but it's not great. So let's create a quick route here. I'm going to take it from front door to front door. And that is the purpose, just to get people moving in between the campuses. And as I'm thinking about transit, I need to call a quick mulligan on something I did in the last episode, and that is this. You can see that there is, if we take a look at our lines overview, yeah, this is pretty bad. So I think we're going to take it down to one helicopter for now. I'm just going to turn this off. So we're going to rethink this and use it in a more strategic way in the near future, but that near future is not now. So what I was seeing was, when you go into transit, it was cannibalizing all of our transit and sending a lot of people to air, and they were backing up there. So that's not what I was hoping for when I set this up. In fact, I think I'm just going to delete that route for now. And all of these people queued there, I know, free helicopters, lots of fun, but we've built up such incredible transit access in this area. It's a real shame to have everyone try to take a free helicopter. It makes sense why they would. I would take a free helicopter, but I don't want them doing that. So back to the drawing board on that. Now let's get back to our campus area and think about what we want to emphasize in this area. So first of all, our main campus building, I think I'm going to place it just off this collector, which is really going to be the main way into this area. And if we don't find another passage for a road, it's going to end up being a real bottleneck. So this right here, if we just built this will be a big cul-de-sac in this island. So we might want to think about ways to cross the river a second time, and in short order, make a highway connection, because that's going to be an emerging issue, if not now, in the near future. If we create a highway connection, we can also think about our rail connectivity, which wouldn't be the worst idea either, because you can see that we have this great access that we're not using. So another thing to think about. So I think where we're going to start is creating another bridge connection across. This is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see if this ends up taking some traffic and acting as a cut through or not. I think there's a distinct possibility of that. So the other thing I want to think about with this is where it makes the most sense to make a connection. So I'm looking at the distance. So clearly this is the widest part right here. This is a short segment, but we took kind of a circuitous way to get there. Probably not the most ideal span. I could see this happening in the past, but now we would try to make the shortest length that we could if it were possible. So I look at this and I think that this right here is probably a pretty good span. It connects directly up. And I don't have the road names on. Let me get that fixed. So you can see right here on Sunset, we have a direct connection between Washington Street and Sunset. So I think that we are going to reimagine this area just a bit. Take this gazebo and relocate it. And then we're going to extend Washington Street up. Washington Brown. And we are going to discontinue this path connection. We're going to fix this, but not just yet. So another idea is actually just to raise the bridge over the path connection. This is not going to be the busiest of roads, and I'm going to try to get that past the beach. Might try to do the exact same thing over here, although we are taking access from the beach for these amenities. There we go. So now we've minimized our height of this bridge. We're making sure that we don't have a road on the beach. I think this is overall some good improvements, but we do need to rotate these things to make it work. Kind of a bummer, especially because of how well this is all lined up and all the beautiful landscaping, but onwards and upwards, I guess. Okay, and apparently this guy already decided he wanted to take the bridge. I don't know where he's going, but somewhere. Okay, so I specifically made this a bike connection because I want people to be able to bike from this campus area over to our tourism district. I think this would be a really logical thing to do. You could have an internship, and if you didn't have a car, you could bike there. So I need to make a connection between these roads. And what we're going to do is just take a look at our topography and respect it. So, and what I just did was very disrespectful to the topography. So I'm starting to think it might be nice to actually grade out the road. So I'm going to take this line, crank this up. And you can see that this is more or less where this other road meets up too, and that was a very purposeful decision there. Now here I want this to be a 90 at this bridge. So we are going to just make a clean connection there and then find a way to meet our roads. There we go. And now we have this nice, smooth connection. You know, so this is the bridge I destroyed in 5B1C, and I felt very bad about that. And the funny thing is, there's a part of me that wants to destroy this bridge for the exact same reason I destroyed the one in 5B1C, and that is the lack of bike connectivity. This would be such an excellent bike connection, but the people have spoken, and I'm not gonna go that route again. So I do want to flare this out a bit so that I can taper off the side a bit, because it's a pretty significant edge. And if I'm not going to do that, the other thing I want to do, or that I could do, is put a key wall up or some sort of fence. But I'm going to try to start out with some tapering. It's not doing exactly what I would hope. Also got some lumpies. That's not too bad. We might just put a nice fence up here. So when I put fences up like this, I like to follow the... So we're going to do a couple things. First of all, we're going to follow the grid. So I'll keep it nice and straight. And then I like to see what the zoning is doing. And if I follow the zoning, generally, things end up pretty straight. So I forgot to leave my angle on, which can also create problems. Sometimes you just need to make a couple of connections manually too, and then use your freeform tool to connect these up. So I'm kind of going every other block of zoning. There we go. I like that. And what we can do now is take this edge down a bit and straighten it out without using key walls. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find this, and I'll just take it down a bit. We'll create a shelf here. So rather than using a key wall, we could create a very nice and orderly effect by kind of leveling out down here, widen the water a bit, make it look interesting. It's still high enough that we're never going to flood here, and it conforms to the geography of the land. So I like it a lot more than the key wall in certain instances doing something like this. So we're going to pull this out. I want to get rid of that dark cliff texture and maintain our beach like that. That's nice. It's looking good. Now in the future, let's get out of here for a second. We just opened up all of this land for development. We could have a road that loops around the island, and we've created this area where we have a road that people could use to get around all of the hustle and bustle over here. It might be nice to actually have a couple of scenic overlooks where you could watch the boats. Maybe we'll do that in the future. I think right now, though, I don't want to worry too much about that. I want to get our campus started. So looking at our topography here is going to be incredibly important, because this is a lumpy place. It is not flat. In fact, the only flat part is up here, and we have the scar of our earthquake right here, creating some issues as well. Oh boy, this bugs me. Gonna leave it. But things to think about. So what I think we're gonna do is try to get up to our contour where it makes the most sense. First of all, maybe we need to draw the main gate where that's gonna be. And I like this little square here that the topography naturally creates. So what I think we're going to do is we'll create a straight road here, and this will be what dictates basically the entire design of our university. This would be a legendary hike that everyone would talk about in a negative way. Not like this, but I think it's reasonable in terms of the amount of elevation change that we're seeing there. It could happen. There we go. And we do have some cyclists using this. Where are you going? Way over there. And using our brand new bike lanes. Perfect. We could even kick this up to the next level and have a multi-use path along the side of here. And maybe that's something we look at in the future as well, because that would be really neat. And I might actually, just to remind myself in the future, and I do this every now and then, just give myself some sort of clue as to what I was thinking. So that will be extended out that way in the future. Yeah, that's good. So you might wonder why I have this collector here and this is terminating. Well, this will do the trick for the time being. Our topography is a real limiting factor. We'd have to switch back to get up here, and I just don't know that it's worth it. We might just try to create access here and then use our highway to bring in an arterial collector into this area to really focus on most of our traffic in this area. So we do have quite a bit of soil. So if we wanted to level this out a little bit, we certainly could, because we dredged the ocean nearby. And you might wonder, how reasonable is all of this stuff? I think that with this campus, with the amount of money that the city has, it certainly could occur. That's why I'm taking some liberties here. All right, so this is our primary campus area. We have our campus drawn, so now we need to place it. So we'll go in here. We have our administration building. That's our core building in this whole area. And I know that this is going to drive people up a wall, but I think that I am going to, again, not use roads through the campus. I do want to center some of this. So let's take a look again at our topography. So we're going to go 30 units up, go 20 over. Now, I do not have a name for this campus, and all of you in the comments did an excellent job last time helping me figure out what to call the campus. So I want you to drop some names down in the comments, and if you got some good ones, I will pick the one that rises to the cream of the crop. So may the best campus name win. Okay, so I'm going to leave some space up front for future stuff that we might need to think about. Interestingly, I can't place this. I have to place it on a road. So with that, keeping that in mind, I am going to do a little bit of road planning. So I think I'm going to go 2 tiles up, 2 over. We will create this little loop here. Now I'm using the bike roads. That's not going to be ultimately what is used, but it works for now. Now here's where I wish I had surface painter to kind of clean this up. We're going to put a tree there to make it look nicer, but for the time being this will work. We can even jazz this up with some nice landscaping. Yeah, I like that. That's looking good. We do need water and power over here, and that's going to be something that will be a bit of a trick. So we'll say that that's running inside of the bridge. That's why it's there. As far as power goes, I'm not excited about what I'm about to do, but I think I need to do it. And just right alongside the bridge for the time being, we're going to run power across. So that'd be a beautiful view from the side of the park. You get to see these great power lines. Not my first choice, but it will do the trick. And we're clearly going to get rid of some of these. I just want to get things moving here, make sure I have my connections made. All right. Oh, and I used the wrong campus. So, quick mulligan, because I want the trade school. So it's a real shame, because I love the look of this liberal arts college. We're going to have to build one of those at some point in the future, but that is not our main goal right now. The nice thing is we're looking at assets that are, more or less the same size. So It won't be the end of the world. And this is a slick looking building as well. Just ignore the power lines. And the flooding of the park over here. Ooh, this is new. So this must be an improvement ever since I modified the terrain over here. I guess we can call it improvement. That's how we make ourselves feel a little bit better about that. I need to do something. No, we're going to destroy Founders Park. No. So let's save Founders Park. The way that we're going to do that is to move these things over. Okay, so that wasn't ideal, but we fixed Founders Park. You know, you gotta do some things sometimes to make things work. That's one of those things. So back to it. So now we have our campus area, and we need to start thinking about our support buildings. So we want to get this to 5 stars, you know, fairly quickly if we can. What I'm thinking might be helpful is getting some population built up over here as well, because we don't really have anything over here in terms of population. And we're looking at one of the lower density areas of the city to try to draw those students. So it's not going to be great. So we also want to think about transit service over here. And we do have a natural extension that we could make of the subway to get that over here. That said, we've got some dormitories to set up, study hall, groundskeeping, and the book club. Not a lot that we can do right now. So again, we're going to let the topography guide us. Maybe I will incorporate more roads into this campus. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to stay around this topographic line and meander around. And we can place our buildings off from this road. We're going to use this bike road, which will be very helpful in getting people around campus outside of in their vehicles. So I'm going to cut through here. We'll leave some of this a little more natural. We might need to do some terraforming to make this work, though I would greatly prefer that we don't. There we go. There are some lumpies happening here, but this totally makes sense to me that it would be a lumpy, bumpy, and kind of frustrating road to drive on, or fun, depending on your viewpoint. Yeah, when we look at this, got a couple feet here. You get big calves if you're biking down here. So I think the main thing that I'm going to worry about is the safety on the ledges, which is something that we're going to need to be thoughtful about. And then some of these cliffs here, I think we could make them rolling hills. So why don't we clean some of that up right now? And we're out of soil. That's always kind of the struggle when you're doing big projects like this, is it's easy to run out of soil very quickly. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. All right, well, we might let good enough be good enough, because I think it's not that bad, truthfully. I think it's all right. And a lot of this is not going to be developed anyway. It's just kind of creating a way around the campus. Some of this will be. Some of this we're going to have paths up from the road. But really, it's about creating an atmosphere at this point. So let's look back at our campus buildings. So we have dorms available to us. And I think it would make sense to have those right, we could have some fairly close to the front. Maybe we could even take advantage of some of the views that we have. So we're going to struggle with these roads. So I'm going to move this, and here's where we get some of our soil from, because I take it from here. And what we're going to do is just back these off the roads ever so slightly, so we have a straight place to work from. Okay, so now we at least have a nice starting point for this area. And we don't really have many other buildings that we can place. we have this study hall, which I think would make a ton of sense to have near the students, as well as groundskeeping, which really could be tucked away almost anywhere. In fact, we might actually want this to be in kind of a remote location if there is one on this campus. Might even just stick it back here. And we have our book club, which should also probably be fairly close to the students. From there's not really much else that we can do until the campus grows, and the campus will not grow until we give it water. So let's do that now. So I think we would need some sort of path onto the beach. I'm going to plan this next road so that we can plan our pedestrian path down to the beach. Yeah, that's a nice smooth connection. And now I just want to taper this out and bring it down. So I think we're going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to flatten this here, so be kind of a lounging access sort of deal. And then we're going to smooth things out to this area. So this will be a nice place to view things. And I also want to make a connection over here to be able to get down as well. There we go. And now we have at least a fairly reasonable path down. There we go. And this is pretty steep. This is one of those situations where it could be very helpful to go through and try to do some leveling, but it's also very challenging. I could have also used the slope terrain tool to try to make this a little bit better, but it's hard with paths. So sometimes it's kind of just a losing effort, and you do the best you can with the tools at your disposal, and try not to make it worse than it has to be. We could certainly use our nature reserve paths as well to try to, because those are self-leveling and those can do a better job, but doesn't need to be perfect. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. This isn't bad. This isn't bad. Now, clearly, if this were reality, we would want this to be as accessible as possible. And with the grade change here, you might even see an elevator down or something crazy like that, because of the number of people you'd expect to have interest in using this, and the fact that the university would care deeply about this being accessible. So I just basically wanted this so that we could add a couple of seating options, benches, things of that nature. Nothing real extravagant, not an official park, but certainly a place where if you were a student, you could take a load off. All right, now we need to crank the landscaping up here to make it feel like Verde Beach. So that's a couple of palm trees. Yeah, and imagine you come here, grab a bite out of the pop soda food truck, have a seat. Check this out. This would be the busiest place in the world in reality. Just there's not a lot of seating, not a lot going on, but some food, and you can imagine that people would want to take advantage. So it's an unrecognized institute. Let's increase the speed. Let's have universal education here. This is a trade school. I think that's really kind of the trend of the future, at least in the US. It's already free in lots of other places. or nothing's free, but it's incorporated into kind of the cost of living. I think that really we want to crank things up with healthcare and lunch as well. So this should get us going. What we also need is some sort of transit. So I think we're just going to start out with a pretty basic bus route. And we'll lead that directly into our station here. Nothing all that extravagant. I'm just looking. I thought that I missed moving a stop in here. I didn't. So we're good. The other thing that we could do is extend this metro route right into the campus and have a stop right up front or along the side. I might do that in the future. I want to know what you have to say, though. Do you think? What do you think about that idea? If you think it's too outlandish, I think it's probably not warranted just yet, but in the future, absolutely could be. So let me know what you think about that. I think we're going to do something a little bit more rustic here. We'll go with a nature reserve fence. And we'll extend that all the way along here just to keep people safe, but preserve their views. It's kind of a nice looking fence. Or at least it feels rustic. Yeah, that's a nice feeling. And I think that we could add more landscaping here to jazz things up a bit. I like that. That to me feels like a welcoming path down. Get some vegetation there. A little steep, but maybe we make up for it by it being interesting to look at. And then I think we want to decorate a bit along here as well. And this is Verde Beach. We better start thinking about fire coverage if we're going to start adding landscaping. So we are going to add in a fire watchtower. Sneak that back here. It's a rather high point, so it should be good. Yeah, I like that. And we're going to add more landscaping because that's what we need here. We need landscaping. We're missing a whole bunch. And let's see. Unrecognized 372 students. I'm kind of curious if we're poaching students from the Goodall Institute. I don't think that we are. Let's really dive into what we're seeing. Yeah, our capacity is going up. Eligible, still about the same. Attending, about the same too. So I think that we're in an okay spot there. So what we need to get this up to the next level is students attending. And I think the way that we get the students there is probably extending our reach into the city. Curious how this route's doing. Yeah, not so good. So why don't we look at, I think that I'm going to make an executive decision for the time. No, I'm not. I'm going to let you guys let me know what you think. So what I do think we're going to do is add in some residential nearby. So let's take a look. And I think that we could indeed create a small neighborhood right here. We might only go up 8 tiles. And I think since we have our height restriction, I'm okay having a bit of density here, and we'll surround that with some lower density. You can imagine this being where some of the faculty would live for the time being, and maybe in the future it becomes more of a student area, because it is very close. But we're going to consider this a campus where most people live there, which is fairly unique for a trade school. You figure almost everyone would live off campus. And we've got some more landscaping to do while this builds out, so we'll keep on keeping on. Okay, so I'm really liking the way this is turning out. The only thing I don't love is all the lumpies and bumpies behind these buildings, so we are going to grade it back a bit and feather it down. And that should help us quite a bit. All right, that's good. Now that we have some of this power resolved over here, I'm just going to switch sides of the road, make our connection, and clean up our university a bit, or our trade school rather, because we do want this to be an attractive school. I think this could be every bit as attractive as the Goodall Institute, and I don't think it makes a ton of sense to make this not attractive because of the type of facility it is. I think that all careers have dignity, and there's nothing wrong with going into a career in conservation. There's also nothing wrong with deciding to be a police officer or a general manager of a hotel. I think those are all great careers, and the campuses should reflect that. In Verde Beach, we look at this and we value everyone equally. So that is my opinion in that matter. That's what we're gonna do, because I'm the czar, the planning czar of the city. So now I'm gonna take a little bit of advice from some other creators that I've been working with recently and try to do something with some of these smaller spaces that maybe I wouldn't normally think about. There we go. Just kind of a little monument to the university, or to the trade school right in the middle of it. I do think we could name some of these. Black Swell. I don't love that. I liked when this was Mason. So that to me feels like the type of, I'm thinking, a brick mason. It's the type of thing that you'd expect a trade school to be located on. So this will be Trades Place. And Sabrina, which actually loops all the way around it, whatever the name of this trade school is going to be, that's what we'll name this road. Because this loops all the way around, and we have another Mason. That is a completely arbitrary name, and we'll go with it. So I don't love the location for this book club, and we're going to probably try to find a better location for it in the future. I also don't really love the location of the trade school groundskeeping, but I placed these so that I could get them out of the way for now. I think this, though it has a great view, we're gonna have paths through here in the future. Oh, it's a terrible location because of power. I don't love the location for the study hall. I wish there was a better place for it. Wow, it's a really brutal looking building, brutalist architecture. It's not my favorite. I'll put it that way. So I think we will just kind of put it off this road here, and sometimes with these sorts of trade schools, you'd see that. Truthfully, I've only worked in a trade school once in my career, and I guess the big thing about that trade school is that it was an adaptive reuse of an old building, which I think makes a ton of sense if you're trying to save money. When you're creating this sort of campus, that would be the way that you would go. It would be to reuse an old building. There's tons of them out there. So why reinvent the wheel or create a brand new building when you could just reuse something that already exists? So I want to smooth this path out if I can, to get rid of that terrible crossing. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Adds a whole bunch of benches there. We'll take it. So we're not going to get to 3-star or 5 stars in this, but I do want to see if we can take it up a bit. You can see that some students are starting to come here. We've got to imagine we're getting a little bit closer, but it's not all that much better. We are bleeding money too. So we've got a lot of people walking here, and that could be part of the issue. I was reluctant to do this, but I might just add a metro station here. So I was reluctant to do this because I don't know that it's warranted just yet, but we already have a very successful metro system, so it's hard to ignore it. Especially when a connection is so easy. So what we're gonna do is take the brown route, and I think we're gonna change the color. I can't even see what's going on there. And we're gonna rename it. Instead of the Bucks line, it's going to be the College line. Now this will just kind of ping back and forth between these two universities and Central Station. So that will provide a ton of opportunity to get people here. So along the side of the university, we have no commercial over on this island. So I think we're going to add in some commercial, leave some separation between the university and this commercial though. And on the other side, I think we're going to have some offices. And then behind that, we're going to have some trees to provide that separation. So I would imagine that this would be, the sorts of businesses that would have a lot of synergy with what's happening here. So imagine university bookstores, a place to make a copy, place to grab a burger. I had Perkins near my campus when I was an undergrad. So coffee shops, those sorts of things. And look at, we've got Dairy Queen, a bookstore, Dairy Queen, Bob's Big Bite. Perfect. And an ATM. Oh, that's a car wash? Okay, it's a car wash. It's small. And over here, just some generic offices with creepy American clowns. Because, I don't know if that's Colossal Order saying something about us, or that's just the way that they view Americans and their use of the flag. We'll see. Either way. So the one thing I don't love is these buildings are probably going to be a little taller than I was hoping, but I think it's okay. So how is this metro working? 22 passengers served this bus route? Probably about the same. We didn't give this a unique color. I think maybe we'll give it that same color. What this one is. We didn't name this line. Oh, this is the express. Okay, back over to our trade school. Let's speed this up for a minute and see what happens. So we're still not seeing incredible utilization of our campus. We're struggling to get any higher than level 1. And that is mostly due to our student size. I'm thinking we don't need another dorm, but I kind of want to add one more and see what it does. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to carve out a little bit more land back here. We'll level it out. And that will formalize that we're not going any further back. This is it. And I like that. I think that makes some sense. We can even taper this back, or honestly leaving it as a cliff like that isn't bad either. Yeah, I'm going to leave it just like that. And the hot air balloon, apparently they're touring the campus at this point. Maybe they're trying to pretend that they're not looking. Because you see, it's the view of downtown. And airplanes everywhere. But we know that they were just over here checking out the campus. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so there is a little bit more that we could do in terms of decorating. But really, what we need is for this to level up, and we're getting close. That did increase things. It's frustrating. I wouldn't think that adding another dorm would improve things here because they're empty, but it did the trick for us, and I'd like to at least get to level 2 before we call this a day. So I would love to keep this to be about equal. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to try to keep this fairly condensed, and apparently that wasn't enough. So it's actually 6. So there's where I need to be. As you see that tile right there counts, and we didn't level it, so we're going to need to do some work. And I'm thinking that one more dorm will get us up to the level where we want to be. All right, that is much the same as before. It's still a little lumpy and bumpy, and I think we're just going to have to deal. We've got a way to fix this, and I think you know what it is. Just sneak some landscaping right in between so we don't have to ever see it again. Perfect. And bonus, the students get to see more trees. So now that I've added all of this, while we're waiting, maybe we should think about our fire coverage and police coverage over here. I don't think it would be out of line to have a police station or a fire station over here, and I might just add those right to the main campus area. Oh. So I guess the timing was good. I didn't notice that was happening, but it is. And Myrtle she is rewarding us for avoiding the coverage as long as we did. Jeez. Well, hopefully the entire campus doesn't burn down and we can still level up. That's our goal. At least look at this. Right all at once. And at least we can put the fires out here because we have roads all over. This is definitely a different kind of campus than the last one that we built. The last, 1.5, I should say. Then the other thing that I think we would want in this campus area would be healthcare. We don't have any at this point in time. And we're really kind of doing away with all roadway hierarchy around this campus because we go straight to local roads, and there's no problem with that. Truthfully, this entire island, I could have local roads and it would work just fine. It would just be slow. But citizens aren't going to complain to me about that in the game, so it would work just fine. It was pretty. Someday it will be again. In the meantime, at least we can get natural fresh meat instead of a car wash. Perfect. So our college, academic works, we don't have any of those. So that is our current issue. So we'll give a hospitality grant. And that is, it seems interesting that we need to do that with this particular university first. But if we don't have academic works, we do not have the opportunity to level up. So that is our main issue right now. And you can see that we are in an interesting spot with money. So I also want to look, we talked about our regular education, our high school, not regular, but our high school and elementary school education, and pointed out that it wasn't in the best spot. So what I think we're going to do is add in a community school over here. Let's take a look at our topography before we do that. This is a real challenge of an area. We're going to end up with everything kind of on a line. So I'm taking these all up 11, and we are just going to work with our topography a bit. And the idea here will be, we'll just need to feather these down a bit, and we'll try our best not to completely disrupt everything happening here. So I took these up 11 so I could add a path connection in between or some sort of trail facility. And then I want one more roadway connection through here, if at all possible. So I've used bike lanes everywhere. That was not my intention. So I am going to take these down. I will extend it down the main drag. That's about the most that we'll need, in my opinion anyway. I think that's just fine. I'm curious, we getting some academic works? We're not. So I think that this might be kind of an ongoing progress that we need to work towards. But at least we've got a nice start to this area, and it certainly feels a little bit different. In fact, I don't know if we want to continue considering this Verde Beach or not. This could be an island with a special name, with a new community on it. When we look at our topography, you can see that there's kind of a spot right here, and a spot up here, and these are all going to feel very different. And we're building within one of these basins right now, and it's gonna feel different in each of these areas. So anyway, I think we're gonna leave it here. I think we've made some progress. We've got to see the start of our trade school campus. I think it's moving in a nice direction. I hope that you liked this build. If you did, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Hit the notification icon if you want to know when I release new videos. Also, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. They enabled me to improve this content, and I really appreciate their support, and I appreciate yours. Your likes, shares, and subscribes help improve the reach of the channel and grow it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave you with a brief city tour, and we will start that right now.